Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. So for today, we are talking about powders, translucent setting powders, and finishing powders. So I have about 5 translucent setting powders right here in front of my face. I feel like anytime you start talking translucent powders, especially for women of color, it could be a little bit tricky because, you know, you're like, oh, does this have flashback? Oh, is this going to make me look ashy? There are just so many little details that go into it. So first things first, let's talk about this. Translucent setting powders versus finishing powders. I've heard a lot of people say that finishing powders don't work for them. It gives them a cast, they have flashback, it's ashy, it's chalky. Here's the thing. I don't have my finishing powder. I dropped it and it just exploded everywhere, and I think I just threw it away after that. There are 2 that I can think of on the top of my head. I know NYX makes one and they're white. Finishing powders are typically always white. NYX makes one and Makeup Forever Ultra HD makes one. The NYX one, of course, it is of a drugstore quality, so therefore I feel like that one is just a little bit more chalkier than the Makeup Forever one. However, their duties are not for you to bake. Their duties are not for you to set. They are to finish. So taking like a little fan brush or a powder brush and just lightly dusting it over your face, it's going to give you that more of like a filtered blur illusion. It's not meant to set your makeup. That's why whenever people are like, oh, I don't like those because they give me flashback or they give me a cast, I'm like, well, duh, sweet cheeks. It's not supposed to be baked on your face. It's just finishing, smoothing, blurring. Everything looks nice and polished, and a little bit goes a long way. Now, we got finishing powders out of the way. Let's talk about translucent powders. Let's start off with this one, because this is the first, no, this is probably the second. This is the second one that I got my hands on. So here we have the Sacha Cosmetics Buttercup powder. Everyone has talked about this powder. It is a fan favorite. A lot of people like it. I love it. I enjoy it. The thing about the Sacha Buttercup powder, what makes it very, very unique is that it is yellow. Now, this is not the first yellow-based powder. I feel like Ben Nye started with his first, and then I've heard of this one. Then after that, a lot of companies have been rolling in with yellow powders, typically for more under the eye area for brightening. The reason why I like this, especially for me being a woman of color, I have golden yellow undertones. So, this never, ever, 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 ever gives me any kind of crazy flash, no cast, no kickback. Now, in order for you to get a cast from another translucent setting powder, you got to really, really, really be packing that onto the face. Now, here's the thing. If you are getting flash, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad product. You might just, you know, be packing it on a little too heavy, so just ease up. You're a little overzealous. Stop putting so much on. So this is my Sacha Buttercup powder. I have my own. I have one in my client kit. I love it. It is great, but here's a few things about it. It does have talc in it. I know talc, there's been tons of research with people correlating talc with cancer, so you have that aspect there. If you're someone that likes to have 100% clean products, I totally understand it, so this might not be for you. However, I look at it this way too. Of course, yes, do your research, do what makes you feel good, what makes you comfortable. However, I feel like everything these days are linked to cancer. I'm just waiting for him to say, oh guys, stop drinking water, it's linked to cancer. I know this is a little bit dramatic, but you know, use your own discretion. So we have this one. It has talc and it does have mica in it. The reason why talc is in a lot of setting powders is because talc is good for moisture and absorbing oil. Now, I will say this. I do have a powder that does not have talc, and I like it. However, I feel like I do get a little bit more oilier with that one. You know what I mean? It's not a bad powder. It's just that, you know, certain products call for certain ingredients to do certain things. And that is the reason why talc is in a lot of products, because it is oil absorbing. We have the famous Mercier powders. I have 2 here. I have translucent, the original, the OG. Mine is a mess because I lost my cotton swab. Oh, no, it's not. It's not a mess. Okay, so I have the Mercier translucent setting powder. I used to use this on myself, but then once I got the Sacha Buttercup powder, I just went ahead and switched it over to my client kit. I do like this one. It works just fine. No problems. No flash. You can bake with this one. It's great. It's good. So they have this one, but If you're someone that's just a little bit anal, especially I can see for a woman of color that is deeper, and you're just kind of like, you know what, it's good, it's setting, but sometimes we do go a little bit overboard, and you might have a little bit too much on, and that's where the Laura Mercier powder in Deep comes into play. These are the legit, oh, the packaging's a little different. Interesting. Is it? I don't know, this one just seems like the packaging seems more frosted. I don't know. Anyway, they have the deep one. The deep one works the exact same way as the translucent one. I will say, with both the Laura Mercier powders, there are no mica. However, there are talc in these. So again, if you are someone that is very, very sensitive to talc, please, please, please do not put these on your face. If you are someone that is struggling with drier under eye area, I would not recommend baking for you. I don't care what kind of powder you do have, what you're using. I would recommend getting a pressed powder, because pressed powders are much better if you have dry skin, just simply because they're not loose. With the loose powders, they're geared more towards oily skin. They're more oil absorbing. Where the pressed powders, they will absorb the oil, but they're just not as drying. I know in the winter time, I don't set up under my eyes the translucent powder, because in the winter time I notice that this area is much more drier. I'll use my Cover FX setting powder, or I have a Maybelline setting powder, a MAC Studio Finish powder. I will set up under my eyes with those, and I don't really have any issues as far as drying out. So little tricks for you to think about. I know creasing up under the eyes and drying under eye area is always a struggle for a lot of people. However, just keep in mind, if that is like a struggle for you year round, do not bake. I don't bake under my eyes. What I do is I'll take a sponge or a setting brush and I'll press up under my eyes. I will not dunk my beauty blender into the powder, put it up there and let it sit, just simply because it looks crazy. It does not work for me. For some people it works, for some people it don't. If it works for you, boo-boo, you keep going, you do what works for you. Alright, moving right along to the next powder that I have. This is the Cover FX. Okay, so if you're someone that likes super, super clean products, this right here is going to be your go-to. It's cruelty-free, it is vegan, it is safe, no talc, none of those crazy chemicals inside of it. However, because there is no talc in this one, this is what I come against. I will find myself getting a little bit more oilier. Again, this is a great product. It's very, very finely milled. It does what it's supposed to do. However, I am on the oilier end of skin, so in the summertime, I don't see myself really using this one that much. It is a matte setting powder. Cover FX does have two. They have the matte setting, and then they have more of like an illuminating one. I would never use that on my skin type, just simply because I am oily. I got my own built-in dew glow radiant situation going on 24/7, 365, so I would stay away from that. Again, if you are someone that is drier, something else that you might come against is when you do set your face with translucent powders, you might feel like you look like a corpse. You might look casket sharp because you were already dry. Loose setting powders are made to help soak up moisture. All you were trying to do was set your foundation in place, and now all of a sudden you look dead. So with the illuminating powder, it's still a loose powder, but it does have a little bit of flex kicked up in there, so just be mindful of that. All right, then the next one we have here, this is the Kat Von D powder. Okay, so this, I am shocked, actually did work on my skin. It is white as snow, and it goes right in. Can't see it. It blends well perfectly. The reason why I do not use this one is just simply because it is reminiscent of the Cover FX illuminating powder, just to the fact that it does have little flecks in there. Now, this is mattifying. It will stay matte. However, if you are someone that does have oilier skin, you probably don't want those little kicks of radiant flecks on your face. I know me, I don't like that. I don't want it, so just keep that in mind. With a powder that does have the illuminating effect to it, I would not recommend baking with it, because what's going to happen is when you pack all that powder on and you wipe it off, this whole under eye area here is going to be a little bit sparkly. I tried it with this and I was just like, oh, that doesn't look good. So just keep that in mind. And that is going to basically finish up this video on translucent powders and finishing powders. I hope this was informative to you. My favorite powder that I use on a regular basis is the Sacha Buttercup powder. I've had this for 2 years and we're still kicking. We're still riding and dying with this one. So that is it. Please leave your comments below. Let me know what your favorite setting powder is. If there is one that I have not mentioned, for instance, I know an affordable one is the Coty Airspun. I've never tried that before. I'd like to try it just to see. But let me know what some of your favorites are. I'll see you guys in the next video.